Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you are loud and clear.
All right. Thank you so much. And just to mention, this call is being recorded. Mm, so it's 7:29 p.m. here in Nigeria, and that should be 6:29 p.m. in Ghana, and that's all in other places. So the class will start by 6:30 p.m. Right. So maybe we could give like a minute or two for those yet to join. I could see them already joining. All right. I could see Richard. Thank you for joining. Um, Morakinyo, Sarah, Clinton. You're all welcome and thanks for joining on time. So my name is Kenneth Odo, and I'll be your host for today. I'll be your host for today's session on Python programming. Unlike yesterday, I would like to also confirm that my background is not so noisy. Is that the case? And the audio and video are very clear enough, right? Maybe someone could unmute to help me confirm that. Otherwise,
Yeah, I don't. I think it's okay from my side, though.
all right. So, and today's class is on Python programming, and today happens to be our very first class on Python, right? So, for those who are asking in the group how far we've gone, if they will be able to catch up, and the rest, yes, the answer is today is the very first class, and you are right on time. Let me see if I'm the right notebook. Take some time to open up my notebook. Not this. Okay, come on. Open the right one. All right, coming up. Come on. Which one is the right one, please? All right, so we have the right notebook opened up now, and the class kicks off right away. Once again, good evening, everyone, and my name is Kenneth Odo. I'm one of the facilitators of this tutorial session, and today I will be taking you on Python programming. And let me confirm how many of us are here right at the moment. Um, so I could see we have about, how many of them? It's 16 of us. Wow. All right, so that's a good number to start with, right? So I would briefly introduce the schedule for today, what we would cover for today, and then we'll dive into the main business, right? So today we are kicking off our class on Python programming, and we are starting very basic, right? So this was designed to be a beginner-friendly class. So we're going very basic. So this is a safe space for everyone here, irrespective of your level of knowledge of Python. It could be your very first time of working with Python, or it could be an advanced user who wants to refresh his knowledge on Python. So the class is designed to meet everyone's needs. And the objectives of today's class are that by the end of today's class, you will be able to set up your environment and start programming in Python. By environment, I mean you should be able to set up, to install Python, and then your code editor, and every other thing you would need to start writing code in Python, right? And then you should also be able to understand the building blocks of a Python program. Things like data types, variables, operators, what is a script, and so on and so forth, right? So these are the key things we would cover for today. And as you can see, I have a very long notebook, meaning we have a lot to cover today. And as much as possible, we will do justice to every piece of item in this outline. So we would go from introduction to programming and Python. I mean, we'll go from setting up your space, your workspace for coding in Python, to learning about the struct coding and programming constructs, right? And within here, we're going to cover things like what is programming and why Python, use cases for Python, how do you install Python, your code editor or Jupyter notebook, how do you write and run your first script, how do you print statements in Python, what are the different data types, variables, how do you create a variable, how do you accept inputs, how do you know the data type you are working with, how do you convert to different data types. Then before we now dive deep into operators and expressions in Python, you could see that we have a lot of them to cover, right? So as much as possible, you could always use the raise hand button here to draw my attention if you have any question at all, right? If you are confused at any point, you could use this icon. You will see this raise hand button, and then you can click on that, and that will draw my attention, and I will be able to address your question, right? So we dive right into the first thing. That's first things first, or how they say it in Nigeria. First of all, introduction, right? So by this, I mean, what is programming? Before we even talk about Python, what is programming? Okay, in a nutshell, we could say that programming is the process of creating step-by-step instructions that a computer can follow to complete or to perform a specific real-world task or to solve a problem, right? Let me use a simple example of your phone calculator, right? If you input 2 and then input a symbol like plus, and then you input another digit like 3, and you press equal to, the calculator prints out the answer, which is 5, right? But behind the scene, before that calculator was purchased by you, someone somewhere has designed the instruction that allows the calculator to accept inputs from users and then perform operations. Could be mathematical, which could be addition, subtraction, multiplication, whatever, and then to give an output, right? So that is what programming is all about. There are many ways that we interact with instructions, right? That is programs created by people called programmers. And the interesting thing is that you've already joined the team, or that's the world of programmers by your very virtue of joining this class. That means by the end, you should be able to identify as a programmer and be able to write code that run, right? So why Python in the first place? Okay, first of all, Python is a programming language. You could send an instruction in any language: English, French, Igbo, Hausa. I'm also familiar with, okay, let's say in Ghana, I know about the Ashanti people and others, right? You could tell someone to come. You could tell someone welcome in English, which would mean beer in Igbo, which could mean akwaba but in Ashanti, right? In Ghana, if I'm wrong, someone should put me right. So there are different flavors, different ways you can instruct a computer. Hence, there are different programming languages, and Python happens to be one of them. Although the name sounds very weird, like Python. Python is a snake. How does it have to do? What does it have to do with programming, right? So you just know that Python is a programming language, one of the programming languages you can use to instruct a computer. And yesterday we had a class on introduction to R programming. Python is the second one we are going to treat, which is another programming language just like R, right? So why Python in the first place? Why should you learn Python? And there are a couple of reasons why you should consider Python programming language for your projects, for your research, for whatever you may want to write programs for. First of all, Python is a general purpose language. That means you would find Python being used in a wide variety of fields such as data science, web development, automation, machine learning, and so much more. So it's a general purpose programming language, and you can find it being effectively applied in various fields of life. So if you learn Python today in the particular industry, let's say you are a researcher, and in the future, 5 years from now, you want to pivot to another career, Python will still follow you through. In my case, I started with websites, I'm learning Django and the rest. Now today, I'm in the field of data, but still the knowledge of Python I developed over time still follows me through, right? And then in data science and machine learning, right, there are many libraries. Another reason for considering Python is that it has a vast collection of libraries. Libraries and the modules are like codes written by other persons, which you can utilize, right? You can use someone else's code to achieve a particular purpose without you having to rewrite it by yourself. Please, I would have to mute someone. Is that all right? Please mute yourself if you are not talking. Mute yourself if you are not talking. So that means there are a lot of libraries you have available to you in Python. You have pandas, you have NumPy, Matplotlib, PyTorch, TensorFlow, and so many of them, which makes life easy for you. You don't need to create everything from the scratch. In the field of web development, for example, there are still other frameworks like Django, Flask, and the rest that makes backend and full stack website development easy. Now let's talk about automation and scripting, game development, cyber security, among others, right? These are just different fields you can apply Python into, and many others, right? Now another reason to consider Python is that it is free and open source, right? Free in the sense that you don't need to pay for it, right? You can install. Hello, someone is. I can hear myself. Hello. I hope you all can still hear me very clearly.
Yes, we can.
All right.
Definitely can.
Thank you. So by this I mean it's free and open source. There are some software, some programming languages that you need to pay for before you can use them, before you can use the library and the rest. For example, we have what's it called again? I've forgotten the name rather. But there are many of such that you need to pay for. But Python is free and open source. It's high level and readable. A high level language is a programming language that has a syntax that is very much closer to human language, right? Python is one of such, right? So the code in Python is easy to read and easy to understand, right? Even as a beginner. And it also has a strong community support. Python has a vast collection of tutorials, has a vast collection of individuals who utilize it for their day-to-day job, right? That means if you run into issues, right, you'll be able to find help. Now, the next thing we would look at now is how to install Python. To set up Python, you just need to go to the website, right? I've provided a link here, which is python.org/downloads, and you'll be able to download the latest version that matches your operating system. This is for Windows. Then we also have for Linux, we have for Mac OS, among others, right? And once you would install it, download it just like any other software application, and it's not even a heavy file, about 30 something megabytes, right? And then what that gives you is the core interpreter. That is the aspect of the Python language that translates your code into the language that the machine understands, right? And then a basic interface, a basic editor where you can write codes, right? A text editor, right? And then maybe debug and all. It just gives you an integrated development environment where you can write code. We are going to see how that works. Then other tools we would like to have is Visual Studio or a code editor, just a code editor in general. A code editor is just a software application that allows you to write code that computer can execute, right? One of them is Visual Studio, right? Visual Studio is one of them, and it's very advanced and adds a lot of features beyond what the basic Python Python IDE gives you, right? You also have other ones like PyCharm, Atom, among others, right? So this is a code editor. It helps you with things like syntax highlighting your the code to format it in ways that you can easily recognize, right? Hello, I hope you can still hear me. I can't seem to hear myself again. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still hearing you
All right.
from here.
All right. So this is VS Code. This is where you start writing. You can also write code within this place, right? Then the third one we would need to consider, if you are considering, I know majority of those participating in this class are in the field of research, machine learning, and the rest. So one of them is Jupyter Notebook, and the easiest way to install Jupyter Notebook is by installing Anaconda, right? Anaconda is one of the tools you would find, like it's like a full package for data science, machine learning related kind of things. It comes with a vast collection of libraries, and I already defined a library as a collection of code written by someone or a group of people that allows you to achieve a particular goal. So all those things, you can consider Anaconda as, if you want to buy, maybe if you want to bake cake, right? You could decide to go to market and go to different sellers. You go to this person and buy the flour, go to the other person and buy the baking powder, go to the third person and buy the what do they call them, the dresser, among others. But Anaconda is like a specialist, should I call it a special store where you can get everything you need to make cake. So you don't need to move about to different shops to get it, right? That is what Anaconda is for you. When it comes to data science and machine learning, you just have this all-in-one tool that allows you to both write code, and it also comes bundled with many libraries that you don't even know you would need, right? So those are the three key software you need to start coding in Python. But take note that if you are just writing basic code, right? If you're just writing basic code, right? Python also already provides the IDE. This is what Python IDE looks like. By the time you finish installing Python, this is like the interpreter, like the shell where you can write. Okay, this is IDE. Let's give it some time to open up. So by the time you've successfully installed Python, right? This is what you get. One of the this is like an interface where you can write your code. So I can write print hello world, and then it's print hello world. Come again. Print hello world. Hello world. Okay, that prints for me hello world. So we've written our first code in Python, right? Now I wrote this using the default Python interpreter, using the default Python editor, right? Which is this. Now this is very basic. You could see that the first time I tried to write this code, I ran into syntax error. Not that I didn't know what I was writing, but I'm already used to advanced code editors that could help me with things like if I open a parenthesis, it helps me to close it, right? Like now, if I go back to my Jupyter notebook, I'm sorry, if I go back to Visual Studio Code, although this one is not configured to run Python code, but let me try something. Let's say, let me try out just anything.
Sorry to
Print.
interrupt. Is it possible to ask questions
Yes, you can ask questions,
or at the end of?
or you can drop it in the chat,
Okay.
or
Will you be guiding us through how we install the applications?
sorry, come again.
I mean, will you put us through how to install the applications?
Okay, installing, it would take so long to start the installation process actually, because it would have to require you to download it first, and then which might exhaust the entire time you have for this session. But the thing there is that installing each of these applications is just like you could install every other software that you've used. If you can install an application like your dictionary on your laptop, if you can install any application at all on your laptop, what is the most basic application you can install? You will be able to install Python, you'll be able to install VS Code, you'll be able to install Jupyter, right? So it's not like it follows through. Just you see the instructions, just click and click and click, okay, 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 and it installs for you. If we start that process now, it's going to hinder this class, but there are many other tutorials you can also leverage online that will help with that. And if you try it out and you run into issues, you can also make use of the WhatsApp group and ask questions, and we could assist with. I hope that is okay.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so back to what I was demonstrating. I showed you earlier that this is one of those places you can write code in Python, right? But it is very basic. Like in this case, the error I had here is that when I started writing this hello world, I did not close it out. I did not I started with hello. I started with this opening quotation, then I did not put the closing quotation, right? But that was because I'm already used to advanced editors like Jupyter Notebook, VS Code and the rest that allows me, that does that automatically for me. So let me try it here. Print. See that when I type print, I have some suggestions that I can easily select, but that does not apply. So when I open the first parenthesis, I will just click opening parenthesis, and then the second one was added automatically for me. Just the same with when I put in opening quotation. Okay, this one was not configured for, but mostly this code editor helps you with things like formatting and highlighting your, helping you to organize your code, applying syntax, highlighting and all that, and assisting with other basic things like opening and closing parentheses and the rest. And they also come with debuggers, places where you can troubleshoot your code, right? Some of them are also configured so that you can connect them to your GitHub repository so that you can automatically push your code to GitHub and the rest. So that is what you will need this one for, right? And then Anaconda, like I mentioned, if you are hoping to push this field, if you are hoping to move into the field of data science and the rest, you would need Anaconda. Right now, what you see on my screen is Jupyter Notebook, which I installed through Anaconda. So the links we already provided, right? By the time you finish installing Anaconda, you would have Jupyter Notebook available. So let's see how we can launch Anaconda. When you finish installing Anaconda,
Sorry, I want to ask.
all right.
The Anaconda, the Jupyter notebook you're talking about, is it inside Anaconda? Do you need to install Anaconda, then install Jupyter notebook, or it comes along with the Anaconda?
All right, Jupyter Notebook comes along with Anaconda. So just like I mentioned that Anaconda is like a special store where you can buy everything you need to make a data science food or variety of food kind of. right? So it comes with all the tools that you need to write programs, maybe for machine learning and the rest. For example, Anaconda also comes with Python for you. That means if you install Anaconda, you don't even need to install Python as a separate software. Anaconda also comes with other things like even Visual Studio that we mentioned. It also comes with Jupyter Notebook, right? Among others. Is that clear now?
Yes, so what you mean is that if we install Anaconda, we have to pick Jupyter Notebook out of the variety of options it has.
All right, you will see that you will see me demonstrate that just now. So I have Anaconda installed on my device, right? So I can just open my Windows search bar and type Anaconda, and I have different options. I have Anaconda PowerShell prompt, I have Anaconda Navigator, and then this one, Anaconda prompts, right? So you could fire up Anaconda from any of these options. I mean, you could fire up Jupyter Notebook from any of these options. So, for example, here, if I click on Anaconda Navigator, it would launch for me. It might take some time because it's heavy, kind of, and I have a lot of things opened up here. So let's give it some time to open up. And from there, you can launch Jupyter Notebook if you already have it installed. I mean, within Anaconda. Like it will offer you, if you are doing it for the first time, it will offer you the option to install it directly within Jupyter Notebook. I mean, within Anaconda. So it might take significant amount of time to launch. So while that is processing, let me show you another way you can launch it. Another way you can launch it is by opening your terminal. I mean, the Anaconda Navigate PowerShell prompt. So if I type Anaconda again, I have Anaconda PowerShell prompt. If I click on that, it will open up something like this, right? Just similar to what we already have opened up here. So give it some time to load, and you would notice just when that is done. Okay, the first one I clicked on is launching. You could see it's like heavy. It takes time to launch, and the duration can vary depending on your device, the speed of your device. Mine is fairly fast considering that I have a lot of things opened up and all that, but it might take longer time for you. So yeah, I have launched the Anaconda from another or alternative, that is from my prompts, right? Like from this now, I have this base from this shell. I can if you are used to command lines, right, you can from here navigate and launch this browser. Like this browser you see opened up here, right? I was able to launch it using this. So we'll see how to do that. Let's see how to do that. Let's wait for this one to open first. Takes some time. Might take some time to open up. Sorry. My voice. I hope my voice is clear enough. Someone should confirm that because I could see someone complaining. And Ekene.
Yes, it's clear.
All right, your hand is up. Ekene Uzodi.
Good evening.
Good
Can you
evening.
hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for this class. I believe it would do a whole lot of good for us that are novices to this programming language thing. So I have VS Code installed on my laptop. I'd like to know, is it preferable to have the Python app on the laptop, or it's better to use VS Code, that's Visual Studio Code?
All right. So if you want, you notice that what I mentioned initially, that VS Code is a code editor, right? You can write. It's not specific to Python. You can write code in C++, you can write even JavaScript within VS Code, right? So it does not take away the place of the Python you need to install. And Python is an interpreter, right? Python is like the engine that interprets the code, just like other programming languages have their own engine. So you need to install VS Code. If you install VS Code, it will not automatically run Python code for you. Like it can offer you things like extensions where you can format your code to look like Python code, but that does not take away the place of Python interpreter. So you need to also install Python interpreter. But if you are working in the field of data science and the rest, and you have Anaconda installed, Anaconda comes with Python interpreter bundled up, right? Is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear. It's
All
clear.
right, thank
So
you.
it's better to have Anaconda, because you also made mention of Anaconda having VS Code on it.
Okay, yes, using the word beta can be tricky because it depends on what you are doing, right? Not everybody needs
Okay.
Anaconda. Not everyone needs Anaconda.
Uh,
So I have this one opened up, the one that we've been waiting for. This is optional. I don't need to sign in. I can just close this out, and then you could see what we have within here. You could see that we have a lot of applications like within here. I can install. This is PyCharm, which is a code editor. PyCharm is an alternative to VS Code. We have this PowerShell prompt, which is the other one I just launched. We have Notebook, Jupyter Notebook. We have other ones, Anaconda Toolbox, Cloud Notebook, Single Store, like many other things, many other applications you might likely use. We even have R Studio for those who work with R. We have R Studio within Anaconda because R is also very popular in web for data science, right? And then you could also see that it creates an environment for you. In our case, we have an environment is like a box, like it's like a confined space where you can write your code that isolates it from other distractions within the environment. For example, you are writing a program that requires version 3 of a particular library. Meanwhile, what you have installed on your laptop is you have a program that requires version 3 of a particular library, and then you have another program that you wrote that also requires version 2 of that particular library, but version 3 and version 2 are not compatible, right? So you can use environments to handle that issue. So environment will enclose everything you need to work with that version 3 on. It will install version 3 on for it. Then the one for version 2, it will install it for you. So Anaconda comes with an environment that isolates the code in the program you are writing for you, so that it does not interfere with the rest. Maybe, for example, you want to run your data science latest stuff with a particular version of Python. Meanwhile, you also have another version of Python, an older version installed. You could use this environment which is created by default and which you can also create and the rest. So Anaconda offers you that. You could see. Then another one is the learning, where you can learn about its documentations and the rest, even Python tutorials, references, many other things, right? Then finally we have the community, which is where you can ask questions. You could see Anaconda community, Blaze Dev, and many other communities where you can get help, even on Matplotlib, NumPy, and the rest. These are things you definitely come across. Documentation, Anaconda blog, and many others. So that is it about this one. If I go back to home, like from here now, if I want to install Jupyter Notebook, I have Notebook here. I already have it installed. It will just tell me to launch. If I launch it, it would open up something like this for me. If I launch it, it will open up something like this for me. Right? Where it lists out all my files in the particular folder, and then I can open up the one I want. But I don't have to, since I already have it opened up. Now the second way to launch this Anaconda, you can see that this one took a long time to open up, quite slow, because it tries to capture everything. I can close it. I don't need it. I don't normally open it from here. So if you are already, I know this is a beginner class, so it can scare some people away, but don't be scared. This is your first class. So you can also, if you are familiar with command line, right? Command prompt, right? Rather, you can also access it. Like I already opened it when I typed Anaconda. I have Anaconda PowerShell prompt. This is a PowerShell prompt opened up. So this is my folder. This is the folder that contains my files, my files, including this notebook we are seeing currently. This one, right? This one I'm using for this class. So we can access it from here. If I come now, I can open to that folder, and then I can copy that link, the full link. You could see that when I clicked into this place, it's highlighted everything in blue. I will press Ctrl C so that it copies everything for me, right? Having pressed Ctrl C, let's go back. I can come to this place. I can go back to the Anaconda PowerShell prompts, and then I would need to change my working directory to this particular folder, right? So if you are not familiar with command line, command prompts, please ignore this. You get used to that. So you can just type cd, which is change directory, then space, open parenthesis, open quotation mark, then Ctrl V to paste the folder I copied, which is the folder that contains what I want to open, right? Then I open and close it with another parenthesis. Then I hit enter. Now within this place now, I can access every single file in this folder just from here. Like this thing you are seeing now is very similar to what you see on my screen now. If I want to list out all the files in this folder, I can do that. So ls lists out all the files for me. You can see this one called data types and structures.ipynb, right? Where is it? This is it here. Data types and structures.ipynb, which is this one, right? So I can do everything here. So from here now, I would want to launch my Anaconda, Jupyter Notebook from this place, so that it lists out the file. Like I can interact with everything within here and subfolders within this place. So what I will do next is I will just type Jupyter, Jupyter, then space notebook, and then I'll hit enter. And then what that does for me is that it would take some time to launch Jupyter Notebook, and then open up a browser tab just like this one. So we'll just give it some time to execute. So forget about the gibberish. It would automatically launch the browser when it's done processing, right? Just watch what will happen here. A new tab would open. I hope you can still hear me and see my screen. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
we can hear you.
Alright, so this has opened up for me the folder that contains that particular folder I needed. I can't see my files yet. So okay, yeah, it's taking time to load. It has opened up. So you could see that this is exactly this which I opened initially, right? So from here I can access all my files within from this folder, right? From this folder. The reason why we needed to change our working directory to the particular folder of interest is that if I had just done it, maybe I had just opened up Anaconda, the Anaconda prompts, it would open the root directory. Like the root directory is like, okay, let's demonstrate that. Let me open up another tab. Anaconda PowerShell prompts. I will not press anything like a change directory. In this case, I don't want to copy the link to the folder I want to work in. So you can see that it's pointed to the root directory, which is just base, right? So if I type Jupyter Notebook, what will happen is that it would open my folder, the root folder, and it will likely open up subfolders that I don't really need. So we'll just give that one time. So, and I don't think we have to dwell much on this one. Now, you've seen how to interact, how to launch your Jupyter notebook and the rest, Anaconda and the rest, and how to install Python, right? So the next thing we are going to look at now is back to my presentation. The next thing we are going to look at now is, let's understand this interface before we start doing actual Python stuff, right? So understanding the interface of Jupyter notebook is essential because it would help make your coding faster, like you know the keyboard shortcuts and the rest. Now what you see is Jupyter notebook, a notebook, but before I open that notebook I had this one. Sorry, I had this one, which is like the view, the home page for my Jupyter notebook, right? To the right, if you have the latest version of it, you will see that AI is everywhere. We now have the AI stuff, Anaconda stuff, the code help and all that. So I don't need it here, I can close it. Now, but here you could see file. From here I can create a new file. It could be a console, or it could be a notebook, or a terminal, or a text file, or a markdown, or a normal Python file. Or you can open path from, I think this was what I demonstrated from in the last class, in the last session where I just, and then you can also save and export notebook. This is disabled for some reasons. You can also log down, log out, or shut down. That's the much you can see here. Then views. Within views, you may not really see much. You might just, views is just where you see some few things like your show header. If I click on this show header, it closes out that header you just saw now. Let me take it back. Show header. This one that says Jupyter, right? You can also activate command palette or file browser or notifications and the rest. You may not do much here as well, right? Now we also have your settings. This is where you set the language. This is currently set as English. You can also do a number of other things here, like enable extension manager. You can open console. You can increase your your text editor font size and decrease it. Like in this case now, let me increase my text editor font size. Let me check. And then, so those ones are just like the basic things you can interact with within here. This is where you can get help when you need it, but we don't have to dwell much here as well because that's not where we're going to. Just know that they exist. Show your keyboard shortcuts, and this is a very useful thing we will cover as well. So down here we have files, which is the one that opens by default. Then to the right of it we have running. I hope you can still hear me. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. So
Yes, well done.
so to the right we have running. What running shows you is, it shows you the notebooks that are currently open and which code you can which the code in them are currently being executed, right? So we have a number of other things as well. So let's go back to a file. Then you can see open, download, rename, duplicate, etc. You are seeing this because I selected this. So let me uncheck this. You can see that it has disappeared. Then check this. So this is like a context menu. Where you are and what you do will determine what you see, right? So I will check that. Now if I want to launch a notebook, I can do that from here because I already have some notebooks open, created. So I will just double click here and it opens up for me a notebook. Just give it some time to load. But I can as well create a new notebook if I don't have a notebook by default, right? So I can go back here. If I don't have a notebook already created, I can do that from here. New, then Python 3 or Python conda environment or terminal console and the rest. So what you would want to create is Python 3. Click on Python 3 to create a new. And by the way, I forgot to mention that within Jupyter Notebook, you can run not just Python code, you can also run other codes like R, like the word Jupyter was coined from Julia, Python, and R. Can you see the logic? Julia, Python, and R. But it has developed so much that you can even run many other languages within here. So knowing the interpreter you are using is very important. In this case, I could see that this is Python 3 that I'm running. So the code I'm writing should be Python code, right? If I type in print,
Is party on?
hello,
No, yes, what?
if I type in print hello world, which is a Python, which is normal, print is a Python statement, and I press the shift key
Just first
and
I'm
down,
sorry and check up on you.
it shows. So this is like Python executing code here, right? Sorry, someone is saying something. All right. So this is Python 3, right? That it is currently executing. So it is important to know that the interpreter you are using. Hello.
Your audio you may want
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
to turn
Come on. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Sorry.
I can hear you now. Good.
Sorry. For how long have I been muted? I can't.
Uh, it's been a minute. Just log in back.
Sorry.
It's just been a minute. You can log in back.
Okay. All right. So what I was saying is that Jupyter Notebook can run not just Python code, it can also run code written in other programming languages like R. And I was saying that the term Jupyter was coined from Julia, which is a programming language, Python, which is the current one we are looking at, a programming language as well, R, which was the one we looked at yesterday. But it has advanced to the point that you can write many other programming languages, in many other programming languages within it. So how do you know?
We can't. Sorry, excuse me. We can't see your screen. I don't know if I'm the only one.
Okay, let me go back and share. Sorry for that.
Yeah, you're not the only one. Your screen is just showing the former white
Oh,
color, and tabs opened for white.
okay. I just reshared it. Can you see it?
Yes, clearly we can see the screen of this class now.
All right. Thank you very
It's
much. Thank you so much.
okay.
So I was mentioning that you can create a new notebook within here if you don't have it open, right? Just come here, open new, then click on Python 3. Sorry. If I configure this to also run with other programming languages like R, I will see those other options. I'll choose them. But in my case, I have just Python. I'll click on that, and then I can. It has opened for me as untitled. Then I would come here. This is a blank notebook, right? I'll come here, click here to give it my name, give it a name. My new notebook, or let me call it my first notebook. Now, a Jupyter notebook has a file extension called IPYNB, which is the former name for Jupyter notebook is IPython. So it's like an IPython notebook, that is IPYNB. You can run Python code within it, but it's not just Python alone. So I can rename. Now that launches for me the Jupyter notebook where I can write my code, and this is an interactive environment where I can code. For example, I can write print statement, print hello world, right, once again. Then you could see that it has printed hello world for me. So I can write code within here. I can also write in other plain text and markdown, right? So I can write, if I can change this one to markdown by pressing M. That changes it to markdown. So I can write in plain text. Maybe I can format it as HTML header 1. Maybe this is H1. I can just copy that. Then if I add another this thing here, this is H2. You could see, sorry, this is H2. So this is like plain text markdown, right? Normal HTML header 1, header 2. I can even make it bold, like I can format the text. I can make it maybe bolded text. Then we could see that like there are a lot of formatting you can apply, which was what I used to generate this very notebook you are seeing. You could even create presentation slides based on this and all that, format them, insert images and the rest. That means you could use notebooks to generate a publication worthy kind of document, right? And it is interactive. Interactive being that I can start from here. I can, like you could see that now that I have this line, I can go back to the line before this one I just selected. Now I can go to the top and write code, okay, whatever I want to write here, and it will still execute maybe and all that. Or I can come from here, and you can see that when I run the code, it prints it out for me, right? If I run the code, it prints it out for me. You will not normally get this in Python, except you have to make explicit statement for that to print for you and all that. Now this class alone would last so long if we start looking at the whole interface, what Jupyter Notebook has in store for us. So let's just take a quick look at a high level overview, then you could explore further. Here I have file. I can create a new file, new console for notebook, save notebook as save all, just the normal options. You can export your notebook as an IPYNB or a markdown or a PDF, among others, right? You can trust your notebook, log out, shut down, and the rest. Then this is about editing. You can undo, redo, undo cell operation, among others. Now the interesting thing is that there are a lot of keyboard shortcuts you can use to achieve that. For example, this one that says to cut cell, you need to press X. If I want to cut a cell, like this one now is a cell, right? Just like this one is a cell. This is a code cell. This is a markdown cell, right? If I want to cut it, maybe I want to paste it to come above this. I mean, to be the first thing you see here. I can just click on it. Then I'll need to click on this scissors icon. That cuts it for me. And I can come to the top and then paste it, right? Sorry. I can come to the top and paste it, right? But maybe paste it here, right? So it's now like before this one here, but we have keyboard shortcuts that allow us to do something like that. So I can just simply come and press X. You see that X has cut it for me. So I can come to where I want to paste it now, and then you now see the option to paste, right, which is V, right? So I will just press V. So that is part of the things you get from here. Very interactive. There are a lot of them here, a lot of keyboard shortcuts. So everything you see here, most of them have keyboard shortcuts, right? To create a new cell, for example, if I want to create a new cell below this one, right, I can click to add a cell, but I don't need to do that. I can just press A, right? A on my keyboard. Sorry, A means above, right? Then if I want to place another cell below this one, I'll click B. B is below, right? So that creates a new cell below for me. Now, another thing you can do here is that if, for example, for you to run certain codes, okay, maybe let's just continue first. View is where you can show toggle, show a lot of table of content. You can see table of content to the right, among others. Not much to be done here. Run is where if you want to run a particular cell, let's say I just created this one 3 times 3, then I can run it by clicking on run, then, or just coming here to click run. That's 9, but then I still can use keyboard shortcuts, right? For me to replicate that same thing, let's say 4 times 4, right? If I want to run it, I don't need to start looking for this thing to click. I can just press down my shift key, then press down the enter key, and that executes it for me. So you can find a lot of the shortcuts within here. Help, then show keyboard shortcuts. So you could see the many keyboard shortcuts that are available for you to use, right? Many of them. It will save your life. I mean, to save a ton of time, right? So close that. Now, these are still the same thing we've been exploring all this while. Now, one thing you take note of is this place called code. If I click on that, I can see code, markdown, and draw, right? So if it's showing code, it means it is a Python code. The code, what I write there, can be executed as a Python code. But if it is showing markdown, like this one now, if I click on this one now, it changes to markdown. This very one changes to markdown. Meanwhile, if I click on this one, it's to change to code. Just take note. Code, right? So they all vary. Then what it shows you is that what you type within here that shows code is going to be executed by Python. But the one you type here is just a plain text, right? So that is it about that. Then this one shows you current interpreter you're using. In our case, we are using Python, so it's showing me Python 3, for example. Now there's a small box, there's a small cycle here, which you can see. What this shows you is whether the code is currently executing. Like if I have a very long code executing, this thing would show a field. Like if you can pay attention, you might be able to see that if I want to execute a line of code here, just watch what will happen here. It would blink, telling me that a code is executing. So just watch. Did anyone notice that? All right.
Kenneth,
All right. So in case you are
hello,
running,
Kenneth.
yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I think your screen is lagging. Like
Okay.
your voice is far ahead from what we are seeing.
All right. So please just give me like a minute. Let me switch my data. Maybe we can get something faster.
Okay.
Hello. I'll share my screen again. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? All right, I'm back. Can anyone hear me? All right, sorry about that. Can anyone hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, then my screen, is it showing now?
Yeah, I think you should reshare your screen. Okay, yeah, we can see your screen now.
All right. So back to my first notebook.
Very nice.
I was saying that this box here shows that a code is executing. In case you are trying to run a particular code, right, and nothing is showing, you just confirm that this place, maybe you have a long script that is running, maybe for I in maybe 1 million, print I. For example, this code will take a significant amount of time to in sorry, I think there's a syntax error. In range 0. I just want to like write a code that will take some time to execute. So you can see that this is showing blank. I mean, it failed round, showing that there's a code running, right? But I can interrupt that. I hope someone is noticing, right? So if you run into issue like your code is not executing, confirm that this thing is not blank. So I'll have to interrupt that. You can also interrupt a code running. Just click on I, double click I. I think I've run a very long code. I'll take so long to end. I might just have to, I'll be forced to end this. I was just trying to demonstrate something. Okay, I will have to close this terminal. Okay. I wanted to show something. Unfortunately, it landed us in trouble. Okay, so it would have, maybe I'll need to restart this terminal. So let me restart it. We could not wait. We can't wait for this whole thing to stop executing. But I just wanted to show you something about when the code is running, right? So let's wait for this to launch. I think that's okay. So you could see that we've taken a long time to just explain the setup, right? And this is very good because if you don't know how to interact with your environment, you will not be productive. So even if it requires us coming, maybe meeting, I think we've exhausted like the first 1 hour of this class. So we'll take the next 1 hour to kind of cover the main thing we're supposed to do. And as much as we could do today, then we'll continue in our next class. So we've not even gone into the core Python programming. We've just been going, maybe navigating the interface, learning about the environment and all that, which is a very important thing, right? So we will definitely cover all that. Let's wait for this to load. Yeah, this is the right notebook. So a lot has been said about the interface. So now I think it's time for us to move into the main thing, the actual business, which is Python, right? Now let's look at, we've seen what programming is and all that. Let's look at the first thing you would want to do in Python. Usually, as a tradition, if you are learning a programming language for the first time, you just start with hello world, print hello world, print hello world. That shows if it runs. You will use it sometimes to confirm that you installed the software very correctly or similar things, right? So we have first executed our first line of code. We've executed our first line of code after installing everything, right? Back to this, where is that? Hello world, right? Now, the print statement in Python would display an output, like whatever you put in between these parentheses, right? Whatever you put, it is like this. The print statement is like you type in print, then open and close parentheses. Whatever you put inside these parentheses, let's say 3 times 3, 3 times 3, and then you press enter, it will display for you. That is 3 times 3 gives you 9, right? Now this one I want to print hello world, right? And then I will now put them inside this parentheses and then opening and closing quotation, and then it displays hello world for me. Now I can also say print 0.89 or print 2020, and it will print for me, right? Now what is really going on? There are times when I put something inside parentheses. There are other times when I put something without the parentheses and it works, right? So what is going on? What is happening here is that the ones in parentheses are strings, right? Strings are like a sequence of characters, like non-numerical kinds of stuff, right? If I want to print numbers, you know, computers are designed to, they are better with numbers than letters, right? So strings are like letters in some sense. So if you want to print strings, you have to put them inside parentheses. I mean, not just inside parentheses, but in opening and closing quotation. You can use single quotation or double quotation, but make sure you are consistent. Like in this case, I want to use double quotation, single quotation. So I have hello world, right? The first one is in double quotation. The second one is in single quotation. The two of them will run. This is first, this is second. So if you want to print strings, you have to put them in parentheses. But if you want to print numbers, you have to put them, you don't need to put them in parentheses. And as a matter of fact, when you put numbers in parentheses, it will be converted to, it will be assumed that you are talking about strings. So we'll just follow this slide. For example, you can print, let's print very large numbers like printing of 8.9 to the power of 1, right? 8 exponential 1. This one gives you 1 to the power of, I mean exponential 2, right? This one gives you 1 exponential 3 and all that. You just want to print some numbers. The e you are seeing here is a function, right? Like in mathematics, those used for mathematics knows that this e represents a particular value. It's like 10 raised to power something times 10 raised to power whatever, right? So if I run this line of code, it displays, this is the first one, 8.9 times 10 raised to power 1 gives me this. Then 1 times 10 raised to power 2 gives me 100 and all that. So you could see that we can also do the same here, right? Just like that. You can also print very small numbers, like something 1 times 10 raised to power minus 20, which is the last one, gives me that, right? It returns this for me, right? Now about strings, right? Like I mentioned initially, string is a collection of characters, right? In Python, if you want to print strings, it is different from numbers. You need to enclose them in a single or double quotation mark, right? Like here now, welcome, right? The first one is in double quotation, the second one is in single quotation, right? Then here now, let's see what will happen in this case. This line of code is going to break for a reason. Why did it break? It broke because I started it with a single quotation and I ended it with double quotation, so Python is confused. So you have to be consistent. If you are using single quotation, use it for a particular string. If you are using double quotation, use it. And remember that the rule is that the string has to be what is inside the quotation. Like now, I have welcome, welcome, and then welcome. Both of them are strings, but if I come and type single quotation welcome then double quotation, then it results in it gives an error, right? So these are the things you keep in mind. These are some of the things you keep in mind, right? These are the things you have to keep in mind. If you are starting with a single quotation, maintain that, right? Now another thing, the remaining examples are just different ways you can print strings, right? So you could print even long statement like welcome to computational physics 1 physics 3032, right? And it displays for you. Now another thing to learn here is comments, and I hope you can still hear me and see my screen, right? I hope you can still hear me and see my
Yes, we
screen.
can see your screen. We can hear you too.
All right. Back to my notebook. Comments are like, just like you would say comments. When you are writing a code, right, you would want to make some statements so that when you come back to that code tomorrow, you remember what you were actually doing, right? That statement you are making is not part of the main job, it's not part of the function, what is being executed, right? But you are writing it either for your future self so that when you come back next time you remember what you did, or in case you are working with a team so that people can understand what you are trying to achieve by a certain line of code you wrote, right? So now, how do you write comments in Python? I mean, make a comment in Python. What happens is that when you write a comment or make a comment in Python, Python does not execute the line of code that line of code that has the comments, right? So you use this pounds, the pounds sign to denote the comment. So now, if I write in this cell now, I have this cell starting with pound sign, and I write this is a comment, right? What that does is that if I execute this line, you can see that nothing displays for me, right? But imagine I am the one reading this code, or I wrote this code 3 years ago. When I come back here, I will know that there was a statement, like maybe I wrote something here that I needed to recall, right? When I come back here in that how many years to come, I will be able to know what I was actually trying to do. Now let's look at it. Let's look at some examples of comments. This is a good comment, like in terms of where you can position it, right? Placed at the top, and it's describing what is below. In this case, we have this line that prints 3 plus 3, right? I can place my comment at the top here, so that the person reading it will know that maybe the comment per se will not be this is a good comment. Okay, let's say, let me just duplicate this. Maybe I can just, instead of this is a good comment, I can just write add 3 and 7, right? So the line here, the first line here, which says add 3 and 7, is a comment, right? But the second line here is the actual code that is being executed, right? So this first line will not be executed, the second one will be executed. So I can run it, and then it displays for me 10. There was nothing like a add 3 and 7 displaying here. I hope you are getting the logic. Now, I hope you are getting the logic. Just confirm.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now, the second way you can place a comment is placing it by the side, right? Like in this case now, I can place it here as well. That is add 3 and 7, right, to the side. This line of code will still execute, right? So I'll run it, displays for me 10. Now, here, this is a bad comment because I wanted this line of code, this statement print 3 plus 7 to run, but because I placed this pound sign before it, it converted everything to code, to comments. So it will not, if I run it, nothing will display. Can you see that? Now the fourth one is a case whereby I place the comments below the line I want it to describe, right? Like in this case now, I wanted to describe maybe something like a add this 3 and 7 as the comment, and now came and placed it here below it, right? Something like this. Now it confuses the reader, because imagine there's another line of code, 6 times 8. Imagine someone, like we could see that definitely there would be another line of code below it. So no, it will now assume that one could easily assume that this comment is describing what is below it, right? Meanwhile, I'm saying add 3 and 7, and what the person is seeing next is 6 and 8. Remember that this is just an illustration. So this is a bad comment, right? So you should avoid that. Right? So it's kind of misleading. Now that we know about comments, the next thing we would look at is data types and converting different data types in Python. At this point, I would like to ensure that you are following. If you have a question, you can ask before we proceed. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. I don't have any questions. I'm following you.
All right, thank you. So back to that, we have data types and data type conversion. Now, what is a data type? For me to explain data type, let's understand the need first. Everything in computer is everything the computer sees, it sees it as either 0 or 1. This could include the text displaying on my screen right now, or this very image you are seeing here, this logo. It could even be your MP3, your audio playing. It could even be a movie you are watching. What the computer knows is zeros, a series sequence of like an array of zeros and ones, right? But for us humans, we want the computer to represent information either in image format, in text format, in numbers, and the rest. So how does the computer now know which one is which, right? It is by the help of data type, right? So a data type allows a computer to classify variables or to classify the data it holds into different, like letting it to know that this one is intended to serve a particular purpose as a number or as a text or as an image or whatever, right? So the basic data types we have in Python are integers, floats, strings, booleans, and then we have the non-type. We have the non-type, right? These are like the different data types we have in Python. Now let's look at them. We have integers. What are integers? They are whole numbers without decimals. For example, positive whole numbers or negative whole numbers, as you can see, 1, 42, -7, and the rest. And they are abbreviated as int, right? They are abbreviated as int. So they are classified as numerical. The other one, we have floats. Floats are like decimals, numbers with decimals, right? Floating point numbers. Just understand them as numbers with decimals, just like your pi, 3.147 and the rest, or -0.5 or -0.005. Numerical and the rest. And then it's also under numerical. Now the other one is strings, denoted as str, right? And they represent sequence of characters such as letters or words. Example, hello. The hello, HELLO, is a string. Now another one is, you could see that we have 1, 2, 3 enclosed in parentheses, 1, 2, and 3 closed in parentheses. This, as far as computer is concerned, is a string, is not a number. You cannot divide this by 3, by whatever. Now let's experiment something. Let me just try and say x is equal to this number. Maybe I wanted to perform an operation. The first one is x is equal to 123, right? Then I will now divide, maybe print x divided by 2. I mean, it gives me 61.5, right? But in the case whereby I enclose this x in parentheses, for example, let me just copy this as well. Control C, then paste here, then enclose these ones in parentheses, right? It has converted it in from numbers to strings. So if I press this, it will give me an error, right? Just take some time, it will display an error. This throws an error because it says unsupported operand for string and integer. So it's, the computer is no longer seeing this 1, 2, 3 as a number, it's now seeing it as a string. So that emphasizes, that helps to paint a clear picture of the importance of knowing the data type, right? So it's strings and non-numericals, hence you cannot apply arithmetic operations on them, right? Unless you are converting them back to numbers. Another one is booleans. A boolean represents a statement that is either true or false, right? So values, they are used for logics and conditions. And in Python, if you want to represent booleans, you type them as t, for example, true or false. Booleans are either true or false, right? True or false. It's either you've eaten this afternoon or you've not eaten. It's either you can hear me or you can't hear me. Those are true or false. Now, they are non-numerical. Now, the last one we'll look at is non-type, which represents the absence of a value or a null. Example, none, for example. It's a non-numerical and it's a special type of data, right? Now, how do you know the type of data you are working with, right? How do you know the type of data you're working with? You can use this function called type to know the type of data you're working with. Now let's say I want to know the type of the type of data that this maybe x equal to 2. I want to know the type of data type of x. I can type in type and put in x. It will print for me int. You could see that x is integer, right? And it displays for me int, which is what we mentioned here. Now if I now say x is equal to 2.5, then it's no longer int, it's now float, right? It's now a floating point number, right? Now again, if I enclose x in parentheses, x equal to 2.5, now it displays for me, if I type in type x, it displays for me string str, right? Showing that it's now a string, right? Now imagine I now change it to x is equal to true. It will change to what? Someone should guess the answer. What's the data type for a true or false kind of statement? Can someone give an attempt? Maybe you can unmute yourself and then.
Yeah, it will be Boolean.
Thank you. Yeah, that was right. Boolean. So which is bool, right? So that is how you know the type of data you're working with. And then it's also important to mention here that you're in writing code in Python, right? Capitalization or case, should I say case, what's the right term for it? Like case is Python is case sensitive. That's the word I'm struggling with. Case sensitive means that these two statements are not the same. Let's say true is not the same as true. Neither is it the same as true. Right? They are not the same. Just like you would have that Kenneth is not the same as Kenneth. The Python sees them as separate characters and cannot treat them the same. So how do we confirm that? You can confirm that by, let's type in Kenneth. Name 1 equal to Kenneth. Name 2 equal to Kenneth. Now to compare the two of them, name 1 equal to name 2, Python will tell me false. But for you as a human being, you know that they are the same, but the computer doesn't see them as the same because of different characters, right? They are represented as different characters, so it's case sensitive. In case you are struggling with true and true, this and this now, and then you are running into issues. So knowing about data types would help you know the type of operation you can perform on a particular data. At the same time, it also helps you to be able to troubleshoot your code if you run into an issue, right? Now, having said that, the following cells are just another way to continue to maybe to demonstrate how you can know the type of data and all that. Now, the next thing we'll do with strings is to concatenate strings. That is combining strings. The word concatenation simply means to combine, right? Strings, and we all know what strings are now at this point. So there are different ways you can concatenate strings. You can use the plus sign, right, to concatenate string. Like now I have hello and world, and I want to add them together. So you could see that the first part is hello, the second part is world. The result is hello world written together, right? In this case, hello world. So let's look at a more elaborate example. I already defined name 1 and name 2 above, right? So I will now say, okay, print name 1. plus name 2, right? It tells me Kenneth. The Kenneth, the first one with the first letter capitalized, second one with everything capitalized, right? So when you use this plus operator on string data type, it only concatenates it for you, because you are telling Python to add hello and word, but hello and word are not numbers. So what Python would assume is that you want to just join the two of them together, depending on whether it makes sense for you. So let's see if it can make sense. Let's just do something that will make sense. So let's say print, the first part is hell, then the second part is oh. So guess what will happen? I would end up getting my hello, right? So that's string concatenation. Now, just like that, that is about string concatenation. I think every other example here is just saying the same thing. Now, the other thing we'll now look at now is converting your data type, right? You can convert your data type, right? I just showed initially an example of 1, 2, 3 in quotation mark that's displayed as string. Now, how can we convert from string to number, from number to string? Yes, it's possible. So let's look at this example here. From what we just did a while ago, we could see that as far as these two are concerned, this 4 in quotation and this one in quotation, these 2 in quotation are concerned, Python sees them as strings, right? Python sees them as strings. So let's say it performs string concatenation, just brings the first one, brings the second one, join them together, right? Now let's look at how we can convert data types. For example, let's say data 1 or let's say A is equal to 23, for example. To confirm, we know that type of A is currently showing as string, str. Now let's convert this A to number, right? Let's convert it to an integer. You would definitely, maybe you wanted this to be, maybe you accepted an input from someone and somehow you need to perform some mathematical operation based on this. You need to convert it to the type, to the numerical type that you can perform such an operation on, right? So let's convert this in from string to number. So you can do int in parentheses A. This converts integer, this int A to a number, right? So I can now perform mathematical operation on this that I just converted back. I hope you can still hear me and see my screen.
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Alright, thank you very much. So now I was saying that the first, what I have as my input is okay, please, you can mute now. I think there's a background noise over there. Alright, thank you. So I have A equal to 23, which is a string, right? To convert this, let me convert this one to type a number. So let me say B. Come on. So let me convert this one to a number, like B now is equal to int A, right? So now let's say let's print type A and then print type B. That is the data type of A and then the data type of B. You now see that there are 2 different data types now. Okay, you now see print. Let me not make it a long statement. The first one is showing the class str, which is string, because a was assigned 1 2 3 with quotation mark, right? It printed the type as str, which is string, but we successfully converted it to integer and assigned it to data b. So now the second one that it printed is now showing the class int. That means I can perform mathematical operation on the second one, but I cannot do that on the first one. Let's confirm that. Let's confirm that a divided by 2 gives me an error, unsupported operand. But then b divided by 2 would work, because b is no longer, b divided by 2 gives me what? 11.5, right? So knowing data types is very important, right? You can convert from letter to string, from letter to number and number to letter, right? In that, or in just like that. Now I can also convert this one from integer to float. For example, I don't just want it to be integer again. Okay, let me say c equal to float a. So let me print type, the type, data type c. Print type c. Let me uncomment this. Type c shows me float, right? So let me just uncomment the three of them. So the first one, a, is string, b is integer, and 3 is float. You can see that the same character is taking the place of playing the role of different data types in this case, right? So that is what that's one thing to keep in mind. You can convert to different data types, right? Now, having said that, we can now move on to, you can also even convert from integer to float, from boolean to the rest, to numbers and all, right? So now, for example, another thing we can now look at, come on. All right, so I would mention that this class will end earlier than we planned. So there's power outage at this point, and although we are supposed to last for another 28 minutes, but we will be cut short due to this power challenge. Apologies for that. So I would have to wrap up impromptly. That means in our next class we would continue from this line. The reason why I want to end it now is so that I can save the recording before this shuts down. So I want to appreciate everyone for staying put up to this point, and I sincerely thank you for making out time to join this call. And I would transition to my mobile, right? And then if you have questions, you can ask while I shut down the laptop, right? So thank you so much for staying up to this point, and do have a wonderful night. I'm still with you, rather. Let me switch back to my mobile. Apologies, it's one of those challenges we face, especially today that is Sunday. It's hard to go out, and so I'll stop the recording.